I'm Maggie Miller here at ODSC East, and I'm with Kirk Borne, the one and only. Thank you so much for
Wow.
joining us.
Thank you, Maggie. Great to be here.
So first off, just tell us, what are some of the exciting experiences you're taking away from the conference?
Well, for me, coming to ODC is like the community event of the year. It's really about building community, and so getting to meet people, hear their latest ideas, hear the newest things they're doing. The learning experience is really what it's about for me. So the content will always be there. You can go to conferences to get content. This conference is full of rich content, but what makes it special is that direct connection with the scientists who are developing it, the engineers who are building it, the applications users who are putting it into practice, and having that sort of personal connection with all that part of the community really makes it best of all conferences for me.
And what do you think are some of the top challenges teams face when they're using NLP and CV to innovate, whether it's products, services, or customer experiences?
Well, challenges are many. First of all is just getting access to data to do those things, because you need a lot of rich training data to be able to train any kind of computer vision or natural language processing. And it only makes sense to train against labeled data. So now how do you get labeled data? Like if you have 1 million videos, they all have to have like labels describing what's in those videos. If you have 100,000 documents or 100 million emails that need to be mined, it helps to know what's in those. And so there's sort of the data challenge. There's also the workforce challenge, which is having the right people to do all these things, and many people have talked about that, so I don't have to elaborate on that. And there's also sort of the ethics questions of access to the data. Are you accessing the data you should be accessing? Are you using it in the ways that you are allowed to access it? Because there are certain rules that are, for example, written in data privacy statements that your data will be used this way. And when customers give you their data, so you got to have those compliance issues. But there's also the whole question: are you building algorithms that are ethical, unbiased? And again, bias doesn't necessarily have to be sort of some intentional, nefarious, bad decision to be biased person, but your algorithms can accidentally introduce bias, and so being aware of that and being able to find it and take care of it, those are all challenges. So there's many different versions of challenge, and last but not least, which should have been first on my list, and that's culture. There really needs to be a culture willing to do this, and that culture starts at the top, at the bottom, and the middle. Wait a minute, it can't start in all three places. Well, it can't, truthfully, but you have to get every group in the organization on board, the executives, decision makers, realizing this is the way we want to go, the implementers, the grassroots people who are making all this happen, to have them feel like maybe my job might be at stake. If I build this thing, maybe my job will go away, and even more so that conversation with middle management people who feel like, well, gee, the executives are talking to the data scientists, where do I fit into this? Okay, and so people have to feel there's still a place for them in the organization. That cultural transformation, that digital transformation involves getting everybody involved and finding the place that they fit in all of this.
And one more question, where do you think the future is for AI? And specifically, do you think humans will remain in the loop when it comes to AI development?
Well, the future is manyfold, I would say. I actually answer a question like this every year, and I always sort of say the answer is the future is convergence. Everything is converging, so we're seeing more convergence of different technologies. So AI is converging with Internet of Things, IoT, converging with blockchain, and of course it's already converged with big data and machine learning, and et cetera. So you look at all the big digital transformations in recent years: data, ML, AI, blockchain, next up, quantum computing. So we're going to start seeing the convergence of all these things. And as far as the human in the loop, I think we're going to always have to have that there. They have to be the validator of what's going on. They have to be the subject matter expert to know what's the right things to do, and when it looks wrong, if it feels wrong, it may be wrong. And so that critical thinking, subject matter expertise, human analysis component can't be left to an algorithm. You can have the algorithm do the really hard, heavy lifting of sorting through millions of images or trillions of documents or whatever your numbers are, and doing really hard calculations to find the patterns of interest, but then deliver those patterns of interest, in some triage fashion. The most interesting and important ones, sort of like the urgent ones, to the analyst, and things that are like least urgent or least important, maybe they don't go to the analyst. So figuring out what that means for each organization will be different, but making sure that the human in the loop never stops.